Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone and rule one. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of serving truth. Got this article on the BBC. It's funny because it's going into essentially, laws that the government's looking to put through that would limit how far the strikes can go. Because they're basically making it where there would need to be a bare minimum. The law would make it where there would need to be a bare minimum service provided, even when strikes are going through, which is not the not what's going on now. And in the UK, we've had basically since December, like non-stop interspersed strikes. Whether it's London Underground, National Rail, and various other like people that can strike. They've been striking to where it's grinding the city to a halt. And I think it's like each strike, billions of dollars have been lost. It's like, even I can say, like, from my workplace, it's been noticeable when there's a day where there's a strike and where there's not. And even like before Christmas, there was I think it was like maybe 2 weeks before Christmas or 10 days before Christmas, something like that, they started striking. And then it was like you had the Christmas shoppers and whatnot. You had the busyness where everyone was out and about, optimistic. But then once the strike started, that all got cut off. That all died off. That shit got zapped to where it was then like, since the is done, it's washed. Since transport's not a thing, being able to get around, like a lot of people, it was done, man. They weren't even coming out like that. They might have just ordered shit online or whatever. But yeah, it's like these strikes are doing damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if some shit got through to where they can't run how it runs, and say it's temporary, say it's a an extreme measure or something to that effect. But hey, swiftly shit would be done, man. Said unions could be sued if they do not provide minimum levels of fire, ambulance, and rail services under planned anti-strike laws. Voluntary agreements would cover other sectors including health, education, and other transport services, border security, and nuclear decommissioning. Which is fucking funny. I didn't even know, like, border security. I think I knew, like, health. The health one was new because there's nurses striking, but apparently it's only certain locations where they're striking. It's not going to be the whole country. And then what did it say? Transport services, border security. I didn't know border security was going wild like that. That's kind of mad. Nuclear decommissioning. I'm like, bro. I'm like, that's funny as hell, man. A nuclear like, what the fuck? That man can just strike like that. But yeah, that's how peak it's got. Yeah, so it says the measures will not resolve the current wave of strikes. So it won't even change anything. Unions have condemned the restrictions and threatened legal action, while Labour says it would repeal them. Business Secretary Grant Shapps said the measures were being introduced to restore the balance between those seeking to strike and protecting the public from disproportionate disorder. The legislation is expected to be published next week, with MPs debating it for the first time the week after. It will apply in England, Scotland, and Wales, but not in Northern Ireland. It is likely to face significant opposition in the House of Lords, as only transport strikes were mentioned in Conservative's 2019 manifesto pledge to introduce minimum service levels. It's funny still. So the Times newspaper quoted a government source saying striking workers who defied minimum service rules would face dismissals for breach of contract. But a business department source told the BBC it was not our intention to penalise individuals. Under existing laws, people who take illegal strike action can already be sacked. Yeah, there's something already where, to an extent, they have these powers in, but when, they're looking to expand, they're looking to get a new law in to where, they have greater powers, and that's how a lot of the laws that have been passed in around this time have been, to where it's kind of solidifying their influence or control of a certain, certain industry and whatnot. But yeah, if if the strikes get limited, people are probably gonna get more aggy. um. The business department also called on the unions to cancel upcoming strikes in a bid to resolve the current disputes constructively through dialogue. It said it would invite unions to meet for honest, constructive conversations about what was fair and affordable and the public sector pay settlements for 2023-2024. But a number of unions have cast doubt on their continued involvement in the independent pay process. Gary Smith, GMB General Secretary, said there are huge questions over the NHS pay review body, as the minister's actions have constantly undermined its independence. The process needs reform. So yeah, these guys are getting wound up. It's funny because NHS, them guys have been taking like pay freezes, which is basically like a pay cut, because inflation's been just been doing its thing. But then pay freezes for a few years. So it's not really a surprise that they're it's not really a surprise that it's got to the point where they're just gonna strike and just fuck it. But we'll see what it shakes out to. And then even with with these strikes, I don't think they're gonna end anytime soon, without money changing hands, because it's getting peak. It's peak as all hell. That people that are running the heating, they're realizing, oh shit, this is hell on earth. Second Ezra 15 and 14, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yeah, so that not respecting their kings nor princes, that's definitely going down. These guys are basically uprooting the the functioning of society, so they can make sure they're getting paid an appropriate wage. And that's something that, for by and large, is dying off. Because why? Esau's looking to consolidate, man, to bring all the money, but essentially back to into his ecosystem. Revelation 12 and 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth the hath but a short time." Yeah. So woe to the inhabitants of the sea. Because why? It's a short time, man. Esau's knows it's that short time. He's looking to maximize. He's looking to have as much, you know, maneuvering within his hands as possible. That's a big part of why, the average Joe ain't gonna get shit. Because why? They're looked down upon. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because you know of the earth but a short time. Yeah. Ezekiel 12 and 1, it says, "Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, which thou shalt say, no, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light of the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." So yeah, that's the state it's gonna get to where what the grinding's gonna be low, man. The grinding's gonna cease. It's gonna be like what all those that were, continuous society functioning, doing the jobs in sewage, in waste management, in electrical plants, in oil rigs, in all these places where it's not looked at glamorously. They're all gonna come to an end. And when the grinding ceases, then it's people are gonna really realize how fucked they are. They're gonna be a complete mess. What? Mm. So that says verse 4, "And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Yeah? Them songs ain't gonna save you. But yeah, that grinding's gonna continue to cease. Because why? You got that rebellion, that rebellious spirit's out, and it's working. Yeah, shit's working, man. But yeah, we'll see them strikes go, because that shit ain't been letting up, man. But yeah, Shalom, Yabashim Shab, Shalom.